did the Jacksonville Jaguars get a lot of bargains during their stopping? Where do the Cowboys stand during the free agency season? And does the return of the GOAT mean a guaranteed NFC championship for the Buccaneers? Well, we're going to find out those questions, answers to those questions, and more, if we have got tons to talk about today. It is a special edition of Fantasy Football Fever starting right now.
15 seconds to air. Stand by, all cameras.
Ready with slow motion and isolated cameras.
Stand by, videotape, and roll tape.
And tape is rolling in less than 5, in 3, 2, 1.
Take tape.
To another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. It's been a little while since we've gotten together, but a new league year started just last week, and this whole NFL has just been sticking up like a good California earthquake. And I've got a couple of minds to kind of help me along with all these hot topics we got dealing with, starting with the one known John Flynn.
Hello, Tim. How's it going? How was your off season?
As far as the Cowboys are concerned, a little bit lower than high. But we'll get to that here in a little while. And once again, I've got my good buddy David Heller.
Hello again, Peter Jennings at ABC News headquarters in New York. Our Cowboy Powers continues and will continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, of course. Well, as I mentioned, folks, the new league year started last week, and the free agency period started at that time as well. And we have got so many pickups, we got so many trades, we got so many signings, so many other issues to take care of. So this is basically a whole show full of hot topics. These topics are higher than hell, I'll tell you right now. So right now, we're going to go to some very interesting things that happened in the last couple of weeks. Four notable quarterbacks up this time. First of all, the Seattle Seahawks have traded Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. So, Flynn, what do you see on that?
I think this makes the Denver Broncos one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the AFC. And if you watch the Denver Broncos and how they've played the last couple of seasons, they have an excellent roster already, and it was just a matter of upgrading at the quarterback position, which has been a struggle for the franchise since Peyton Manning retired back in 2016. That they went for Trevor Siemian and they let Brock Osweiler go. They brought in Drew Lock. They drafted him. They thought he was going to be a sneaky steal, but that didn't pan out. Drew Lock actually was sent to Seattle in the subsequent Russell Wilson trade, along with a huge package of draft picks, including multiple first-round picks for the future, including Denver's first-round pick this year. So I think that the way the Broncos are constructed, and the Broncos defense was actually the top 5 in the NFL last year when you look at it statistically, and they played well even with Von Miller and without Von Miller. They even rather overlooked, and they gave teams like Cincinnati and Kansas City all the run for their money. Cincinnati barely beat them. Kansas City barely beat them that week 18. That Saturday night doubleheader on ESPN. It was a 28-24 game, but now the Broncos have a new head coach. They have a new quarterback, and when you bring those two together, so the results for quarterbacks who have the coach and quarterback together, throughout the last 45 years, almost half of the Super Bowl winning head coach quarterback combinations came together the same year, and that's exactly what happened with the Denver Broncos. I think the Broncos are in a great spot to compete in 2022.
All right, Dave, you got an opinion on that one?
Oh, you know, a lot of trades, one as recently as yesterday, Tyreek Who would have thought that?
And I think we're going to get to that, but in terms of what we're going to start all the way back at the beginning with Russell Wilson getting traded to Denver, David.
Yeah. Well, looking at the AFC West, I don't want to face anybody in the AFC West next season. No way. You got Mahomes, now Wilson, Carr, and Herbert. I would not want to bring in my head. What? I think I mentioned at the end of the last season. The Broncos one franchise TV away from a Super Bowl run. They got so if I were the AFC, and honestly what happened, but watch out.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Watch out, because Denver could be looking pretty good, and like Flynn said, they haven't improved over the last 3 years. So they could continue with the Chiefs for the AFC West. Yeah. Another quarterback trade. Carson Wentz traded from the Indianapolis Colts to the Washington Commanders. He's back in the NFC East. With a new team and new look. So, Flynn, does this make sense?
I'd say this makes absolutely no sense for the Washington Commanders, because when you think about all the other quarterbacks that have been traded across the NFL, considering Matt Ryan got traded from Atlanta to Indianapolis for only a third-round pick, that was an easiest first guess, and Carson Wentz doesn't scream playoffs by any means, even though the NFC is quite weak compared to the AFC, but we saw Carson Wentz unable to embrace his leadership role with Indianapolis, and I mean his numbers last season with Indianapolis were solid. I'll give him that the touchdown interception rate was very, very good, but. So, in the most important game of the season, against the worst team in the NFL, that's when he faltered when it mattered the most, and when teams make Carson Wentz win the game with his arm, it doesn't pan out well for his team. So. And look, I think this is going to be another losing season for Washington, and I think Ron Rivera, with everything going on with him and the way he's trying to change the culture, but all the dysfunction in the organization with Dan Snyder and the things that have been going on non-football related. Ron Rivera is going to be fired if Washington does not make the playoffs this season. I think the Washington made this trade thinking that they were gonna try and make a push to make the playoffs, but when you think about losing Brandon Sheriff in free agency, when you think about Washington's defense, which was highly touted in 2020, and it was atrocious in 2021. So Washington's defense is going to have to be close to 2020 form in 2022 if they're going to contend, and then have Carson Wentz play turnover-free football for much of the season, and we'll get to the Colts' perspective of this trade in a little bit, but I do not understand this at all for Washington. When you first of all had quarterbacks like Matt Ryan and Mitchell Trubisky available. And look, Trubisky's been taking a lot of knack, but Trubisky would have been an upgrade over Taylor Heineke. He would have been at that. But there also were quarterbacks available in the draft especially when you think of Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett after the pro days they had. This makes Washington even more clueless, and they have no idea what on earth they're doing, and it's probably going to take Dan Snyder to sell the team in order for the Commanders fans to have any real hope.
Yeah. To
Taylor
what happened with U.S. Soccer years ago. What are the Commanders? What are they doing? What are they doing? That play, for the life of me, I don't understand that particular play, and I believe the Colts definitely went on that play. Because from the Colts perspective, number one, they're trying to, turn things around, and honestly, I get Jim Irsay's perspective at the end of the season, after they were really well when they lost to the worst team in the NFL against the Jaguars, that they need to win that season, or there are going to be bigger changes, and obviously, they're starting out by getting rid of Carson Wentz, but to Washington did, they're just competent. And I think Flynn, the only hope that the Commanders are going to have any hope is if the defense does continue. And I don't know if that's going to turn soon, by the way.
Looks like as Flynn said, I'm predicting another losing season for the Commanders. Now, let's mention Carson left the Colts. Now, the aforementioned Matt Ryan let go by the Falcons, picked up by the Colts. So on that, Flynn.
So I think this Matt Ryan is an upgrade over Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan is single-handedly responsible was the reason the Falcons were a relevant franchise for 10 to 15 years. And Matt Ryan was the epitome of class. He was tough. He was clutch. But it certainly wasn't his fault, though, that they blew that lead in the Super Bowl 28-3. So you factor in the defense not playing well down the stretch and Kyle Shanahan's play calling down the stretch of that game. If that was the case, if either one of those things didn't happen, Matt Ryan would have been a regular season MVP and a Super Bowl MVP in the same season. The last player to do that was Kurt Warner back in 1999. So that was baffling, and his head coaches have been Mike Smith, Dan Quinn, and one year of Arthur Smith after they traded Julio Jones to Tennessee and missing Calvin Ridley for much of the season. So I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to be the worst team in the NFC next year. I think the Falcons are going to be a 2-3 win team next season. So with the roster they have now, they did sign Marcus Mariota to be a bridge quarterback for the future. So the Falcons are going to pick their next franchise quarterback either in this year's draft or in next year's draft to replace Matt Ryan. So I think that's the Falcons thing there. And also, by the way, the dead cap hit the Falcons are taking on Matt Ryan is over $40 million. So that means it's $40 million the Falcons cannot use against the salary cap, based on the guaranteed contract that was part of the contract and when the two sides last negotiated a few years ago. So that's something to be considered for that. But now on the flip side, what an upgrade by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Chris Ballard is an outstanding general manager, and he put together he's put together a playoff worthy roster over the last couple of seasons. When you think about the offensive line, drafting Quentin Nelson, drafting Darius Leonard in the third round in 2018, he's blossomed into one of the league's best linebackers. The defensive line is strong. Where they bringing in DeForest Buckner a couple of years ago, so they have an obviously. So they waited for the second round to draft Jonathan Taylor, and he had the incredible season last year. So Chris Ballard knew what he was doing, but it took 2 weeks for everybody to understand why the Colts did what they did with Washington. Now it made no sense at the beginning because who the hell was the Colts quarterback going to be? But the fact that they only had to give up a third round pick for Matt Ryan, it's because everybody knew the Falcons had to trade Matt Ryan with the Falcons being in the running for Deshaun Watson. I think the Colts did really well here, and I think right now I'm not screaming Super Bowl. I think Buffalo. I think there are several teams in the conference better than Indianapolis, but do I think that puts them over the top over Tennessee with Tannehill and Henry? I would think so, given the structure of the AFC and the AFC South.
Now, I have a question for you, Flynn. Do you think that the Falcons and the Washington Commanders, we just talked about a little while ago, do you believe they're going to be the two worst teams in the NFC this season?
I think it's gonna. I think the Falcons and then the Seahawks, because with Seattle's schedule, it's gonna be insane because Seattle has to play everybody in their division. Their division is scheduled to play the AFC West. Everybody in there, so Carr, Mahomes, Wilson, Herbert. So Seattle plays all of them next year. And so the Seahawks are either gonna have Drew Lock as the starting quarterback, or some guy named Colin Kaepernick as the quarterback.
But what I would think is the NFC specifically, not the NFL overall.
I would argue that the Falcons and the Seahawks in terms of the NFC because of the schedules, the lack of talent. The Seahawks are probably going to have to trade DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think DK Metcalf would be perfect for Green Bay after Devontae Adams got traded to the Raiders, and I think Tyler Lockett would be great for Kansas City after Tyreek Hill was traded to Miami yesterday. So again, Seattle does have some a little bit of leverage here when it comes to unloading those two players, and I think both of them could bring back a first round pick, and both Green Bay and Kansas City have 2 first round picks because of the trades they made. So I think right now I'd see Atlanta and Seattle as the 2 worst teams in the NFC going into the season.
So then, where do you think the Washington Commanders sit in terms of the worst teams in the NFL overall?
I think they're bottom half. I don't think they're bottom 5 though. They're not going to be as bad because remember they still have Chase Young, they still have Montez Sweat, and they have Carson Wentz over Mariota. And as much as we blasted Wentz, I'd take him over Mariota and Locke. So I think. Yeah, so I think that needs to be considered on that front.
Yeah, I agree with the Falcons. Let's be honest. At most, we're going to probably win 2, 3, maybe 4 games next season. Colts, I don't want to trade. I'm Matt Ryan, and with that duo of Ryan and Jonathan Taylor. Woo!
Oh, boy.
enough for the Colts to win the AFC South that season. But I'm definitely going to agree with Flynn that there's going to be several teams, probably all the AFC West teams in particular, that are going to be ahead of the Indianapolis Colts in terms of who's going to be contending for the Super Bowl.
And then you also have to think about the offensive line. I think the Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League, and that's what enabled Jonathan Taylor to have so much success the last couple of seasons. And the Colts and Frank Reich unlocked his potential during the second half of the 2020 season. Of course, he had that big game against the Raiders in Vegas 2 years ago that basically put the Colts in the playoffs, and then. Then of course being everybody's winning everybody the fantasy championships last season with running for over 1,800 yards during the season and all of that. But if I'm the Colts, I should be thrilled. So, but I do think the Colts need a wide receiver too. I think that they need to be in on Lockett and Metcalf as well. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Do you think that Colts getting either one of those wide receivers might put them, in the contention to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl next season?
No, but because this is a win now team, you want to do everything in your power to try to win now, and I think that's what the Colts are trying to do. But I am going to be interested though in how the Colts defense responds in 2022, because remember, Matt Eberflus is now no longer the defensive coordinator; he's now the head coach of the Colts. So Gus Bradley is going to be running the defense. But I think for a Falcons perspective, in terms of the history of the franchise, that remember Tim when the Falcons had Bobby Petrino for that one season where he quit mid-season, and I want to see if Tim remembers that, but I think Tim's Mike is frozen. But and this was all after the Michael Vick saga with him, with his behavior over the dogs. So the Falcons now are back to where they were before Matt Ryan, and I think it's going to be a long year for the Atlanta Falcons. Also considering that Calvin Ridley has been was announced that he's suspended for a full year because of illegal gambling in Florida, illegal for an NFL player, and I think the NFL did the right thing for suspending him for the whole season because that goes completely against the grain here for the NFL. So it seems like Tim is no longer his mic has some issues. So I think we should go on to the one trade that Tim didn't mention yet, and I want to see. There have been like a lot of opinions on this, and I want to hear your opinion on this too. So what do you think about Deshaun Watson going to the Cleveland Browns?
By the way, before I mention about Watson, Tim said carry on with the show until he gets back. So
all right.
That's what he said. Now, as far as Watson going to the Browns, well, I think that basically means that Baker Mayfield's going to be traded because, we're going to have Watson competing against Mayfield for the job. That's probably not going to go over too well. So, I do expect that Watson will become the starter. Mayfield will be playing elsewhere. It's a great trade, however, the Browns, whether that even puts them in the running for the playoffs, I don't know about that. But what I do know is Baker will certainly be traded. I don't know where, but certainly be traded.
I don't agree with that notion, David, because now Jason Licht, the outstanding general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was on Sirius XM yesterday with popular personality Adam Shine, and listen, he actually left the door open for Tampa to trade for Baker Mayfield to be the backup because the diehard Bucs fans, meaning the ones that were there before Tom Brady went to Tampa, know that Blaine Gabbert doesn't win you football games, only Brady does. But the fact that there were reports that came out that the Carolina Panthers, mind you, the Panthers have been in quarterback hell, and the front office isn't doing Matt Rule any favors. The fact that the Panthers are not interested in Baker Mayfield tells you everything you need to know about Baker Mayfield. It's because Baker Mayfield is the combination of arrogance and ignorance. And he was never worthy of the first overall pick in the 2018 draft. That Josh Allen was in the same draft class, Sam Darnold was in the same draft class, and Lamar Jackson was in the same draft class. And the fact that the Cleveland Browns selected Baker Mayfield over them, I will never get over it. I thought it was the wackiest decision that the Browns did. Now, this trade for Deshaun Watson for the Cleveland Browns, first of all, it's an upgrade. So, and one thing about Baker Mayfield, it's more likely to me that Baker Mayfield actually gets released before rather than he gets traded. So that means the Browns are probably going to get nothing back in return for Baker Mayfield, and I never would have picked up the 5th-year option for Baker Mayfield anyway. So, but now a new era, Deshaun Watson, and listen, the fact that it's the Cleveland Browns that pulled the trigger to trade for Deshaun Watson, and mind you, there were 4 teams in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes: the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Saints, and the Cleveland Browns. The Saints had the backup plan by bringing back Jameis Winston, so that there's that. The Falcons have Mariota, who actually worked with Arthur Smith in Tennessee for a couple of years. But I think that might tell you something. Now, so the way the Browns structured the contract for Deshaun Watson, so it was designed assuming that the NFL is going to suspend Deshaun Watson to start the season because of those things. Remember, Ben Roethlisberger in 2010 had a similar situation. But Roethlisberger was originally suspended for 6 games, but that suspension got reduced to 4 games. So the way the Browns structured that contract is where things stand on that one. But it is the type of move that I think screams playoffs for the Browns, and then you also pair it out with the Browns trading for Amari Cooper. So I think Amari Cooper is an upgrade over what they had at the end of last season. So there is that. There has actually been some conversation about Odell Beckham Jr. potentially going back to Cleveland if Baker Mayfield is no longer on the team, because OBJ clearly saw Baker Mayfield as the issue with the team, and absolutely right he was. But to me, it's more likely than not that Odell Beckham winds up back with the Rams instead of signing with the Cleveland Browns. So I think through all those different sorts here, I think it is noteworthy that it's the Cleveland Browns, and when you factor in what the Browns have, offensive line, defense, and of course the league's best running back duo with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I think that who can catch passes out of the backfield to help out Deshaun Watson. Now, so I don't. Austin Hooper is no longer in Cleveland because he was a salary cap casualty in Cleveland. So I think that needs to be said on that front, But Deshaun Watson, when it's available, he is one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the National Football League, and he's entering the prime of his career. He's only, I think he's only in his mid to late 20s, so he's going to be. He has a lot of gas left in the tank. So I think Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland, I think from a football perspective makes a lot of sense. But there is the big risk of what happens in the court in the judicial court of public opinion. Now there was more good news for Deshaun Watson because there was another grand jury rejected the charges that were against Deshaun Watson based on the sexual assault allegations. So that's certainly good news. But look, I think the way Deshaun Watson goes about this, I think he if he focuses on football and we're gonna get a lot of questions about this in his introductory press conference tomorrow afternoon. So how he's going to handle having this dark cloud hovering over him. So I think that's where we have with Deshaun Watson. As Irene has entered the chat, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I wanted to starting an offense. So I just see where the echo went from. Okay, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I found it. Okay. So I'm gonna find just want to go over some announcements. There's nothing much happening now with football, but yeah, I mean I do have some announcements. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, okay. The unprecedented rate of improvement stimulated in helmet industry. New standard set for top performing helmet models worn by NFL players. They're conducting testing on helmet laboratory. So the NFLPA is they're trying. Like I mentioned this last year. Also, they're trying to improve the safety for helmets. And I'm a very big fan of this because this will significantly reduce head injury upon impact. Head injury. That's what I said. Yeah, I did. I said head injuries upon impact on the on when they, you know what I'm saying, for football, and this is very good. And they're doing laboratory testing. You can see on the chart as well. So that's beautiful. And then on there's going to be a virtual reality NFL license game, I believe, coming to MetaQuest and some Sony PlayStation VR devices. I was actually seeing this on my PlayStation the other day, and I'm very excited about this coming out because I like when new games come out like this. Like we get sick of Madden after a while. We want some innovation here. So this is really good. I mean, because especially with a VR headset, this will be beautiful. They said hopefully it'll be out in time before the new season starts. I just wanted to show an article about it as well. Yeah, they just started, like they're really getting into it now. Here's a quick video about that. I saw it I pre-ordered it on my headset. It's for sure it's coming. Yeah. That's the concept. So I think that's like the teaser commercial for it. It's for sure it's coming. I hope it also comes out on the Oculus because that would be wonderful. If not, that's okay too, because I also have a PlayStation headset that it'll work with. With my PS5, that'll be really beautiful. They have the virtual reality NFL license game. They have NFL Network's Path to Draft is coming out on May 6th. Okay, it'll premiere April 4th, but it airs through May 6th. You have the mock draft, the 50 perspectives, Bucky Brooks. This will be a very good tool to use. I think I came in like third or fourth place for fantasy football, which was good. Um, then there was a statement also by Roger Goodell on the passing of John Clayton. Fisk University, a student ended up winning the HBCU battle. And then, of course, you probably already know this. There is a fire happening at the
High
I saw that in my news. The NFL news is on that as of now, but we'll keep our eye open on that. I'm ready for movies and like moving on. Definitely ready on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Irene came on at the perfect time because we've been talking about a lot of quarterback news over the last a couple of weeks, and we've been looking at quarterbacks that have moved from different teams. We talked about Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson and all of that, but one topic we have not talked about yet is the return of Tom Brady to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is wild when you think about that, because but listen. I think Tampa's a Super Bowl team this year. I don't know if the NFC is that.
Hating from the sideline, a flag on the play, like Julio with them.
Absolutely, I'm very excited to be back.
And also contemporary, but one interesting statistic I found out from ESPN was it just seems like that on the those are the years that Tom Brady actually won the Super Bowl.
I think especially given that Tampa was able to bring back Chris Godwin on a long-term contract, that the Tampa initially put the franchise tag on Chris Godwin, but Jason Light deserves a lot of credit for hammering out an extension with Chris Godwin, because he was if Chris Godwin was on the field in the playoffs on Divisional Sunday, because he got hurt at the end of toward the end of the regular season. If Chris Godwin was available for that game against the Rams, there was a very good chance Tampa Bay would have won that game. So it's because they had to rely. And now Brady's always been pretty good at creating wide receivers, and something I'll bring up later on with Patrick Mahomes in the wake of the Tyreek Hill trade. But I think when you have Tampa with Brady and bringing back Leonard Fournette, and they're probably going to bring back Rob Gronkowski out of retirement again. So that's probably going to happen. He's probably going to wind up back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think from 1 to 53 now, Tampa will have to address the safety position in the draft. I think they are a little bit weaker on the offensive line than they were last year. But given that every team has its flaws, and given how hard it is to repeat as the Super Bowl champion, so I think Tampa has a great chance to go to the Super Bowl this year. Given that Dallas is weaker, Green Bay is weaker, I think San Francisco will offset LA enough to allow Tampa to be the 1 seed in the NFC, which I think is a big deal when it comes to Tom Brady. So we have all of that. But it's going to be all sorts of fun if you are a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2022.
Yeah. And also thinking maybe interesting stuff. I know about Panthers not being interested in Baker Mayfield a little often. I also think that it's a sign that it seems like that David Tamper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, he seems to be incompetent. You know?
I see some very serious competition for Madden 22 because there's a NFL VR game coming out. This is going to present a very big competition to them. I could already see it, and that, I'm a very big player of Madden for many years. It's very unfortunate, he passed away and everything, and hopefully they'll make him the cover of the 2023 one. I've been still playing around with the 2022 one. Oh, just so you guys know, if you have Amazon Prime and you have Origin, you can get Madden 22 for free right now. They are giving product codes out for free for that, which is beautiful for people, that want to enjoy Madden right now. But, I really think that this will bring some competition because when you have the VR headset on, it's like you're actually throwing the football on your headset, and that's like the best experience in the world. Like, I love like the feeling of actually being there on my headset, and this is really gonna revolutionize, gaming for the football. But hopefully they'll still have Madden 23 come out. Let me see what the release date. I think the release date for it might be August, if I'm not mistaken. But let me see. August 19th. It's looking like for it. I have it on pre-order. So for sure it's coming out. Hopefully they're predicting. Let me see what they think Cup is going to be on the front cover of it. They'll have Ultimate Team again on it. I'm looking forward to. Yeah, they should really. I've been signing some petitions and everything. They should really put John Madden on the cover of that. Just honor him, honor his legacy, please, because make him the front cover of it this year. Because we really want to see him honored. Because that's his game. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully they'll do that. If not, then maybe the Rams will be on there. But I would really prefer John Madden this year to be on the cover of that. That's just my opinion. Yeah.
And I think given the history of football and how generations of football fans associated themselves with John Madden, and John Madden calling the game of the week on CBS and on Fox for so many years, then basically all four major networks. I think this would be an appropriate year to put John Madden on the cover because it was his idea, and it's why football is now mainstream because of him being the innovator and him emphasizing things that we've never noticed before in the NFL. That there wasn't much emphasis on the offensive line or the defensive lines until Madden came along. So I think a lot needs to be said about those things. So I do want you to, because I know you had we're trying to scroll on before the current odds for the Super Bowl. I know you were Irene, you were scrolling through that before, so I want to see what Vegas says for right now for the Super Bowl odds. It's a big
Tampa Bay is going to make a big comeback. And I agree with them. Even the Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay, Chiefs, Rams. It looks like big thing with the Bills versus the Bucks. It looks like that right now.
Yeah.
This was crazy what happened with the Super Bowl. With the Rams. Nobody ever thought that was going to happen. And David will tell you. I love his opinion about the Rams thing because he said it was he said that the Bengals was like a Cinderella story or something like that. It was just mind-blowing. I would never think that. I didn't see that combo coming. something must have happened, or I don't know how it went that way. So I don't think it's gonna happen like that again. I think it was very strange. It was like maybe it was a toss-up or something. It just doesn't make any sense how the team out like that. It's just maybe they had like a really good player on them that made it that way. Maybe that could be the case. You know what I'm saying? But I don't. If I was rooting for the Bengals, I wasn't really for the Rams because I'm not a fan of the Dolphins. Like I was rooting for both teams. But if I had to pick one, I was for the Bengals. I was rooting for. I really, if the Bills go against the Bucs, I'm still gonna go for the Bucs, but I wouldn't be rooting for the Bills. You know, deep down, the Bucs, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and you know,
I do want to make one thing about Cincinnati, about their run to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of what you see revolves around culture, and there could be that one special type of player that completely changed the whole culture, and that player for Cincinnati was Joe Burrow, because without Joe Burrow last year, because Burrow tore his ACL in the second half of the 2020 season, there were a lot of questions going into last season about Joe Burrow's health and him actually being able to ever possibly revert to his old self, and he certainly did that with the additions of Jamar Chase, his college teammate. They already had a team chemistry going on with Cincinnati. So and Joe Burrow was able to find a way to stay cool and be tough and clutch in big situations, and that they overcame a 21-3 deficit to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, which is something I did not see coming. So, but the offensive line, they were a physically challenged team unit all year, and the offensive line gave up 7 sacks to the Super Bowl. And there was actually the last play of the game. I don't know if you remember this, Irene, but Jamar Chase, the Bengals' best receiver, was wide open on that last play, but because the Bengals couldn't block for him on the offensive line.
That's the thing. I believe it. You know what I'm saying? I don't follow all of them.
Yeah.
I just saw them winning like this. This was not what I didn't get comfortable betting on a game like that. So I don't really even team well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not even better. That usually felt comfortable. We were like, this is not a safe thing to be betting on. We don't really know that well. You had to, people were taking the Rams. It looked favorable for the Bengals. You thought if the Bengals win, you win more money. But if you bet for Rams, it's a crapshoot. You know who's going to win, and that's not good for anybody. I passed on that game. I didn't bet on the game. I don't know well. Let's understand what I'm talking about. I bet on this. So, it's not favorable either way. How it's getting up. If I did bet on it, I would go with the Bengals, but I was a little scared because you just don't know the team well. That's what do you do with them? But I think the Bengals would have had it if they would have really done better. It was tiebreaker. David said if the Bengals was how that turned out. Like anything saying I'm on board with it. It was honestly, I don't even know what to say about that game. I really think should have won, but it didn't happen that way. I don't know what happened with that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why we do this podcast. That's why I do my own personal podcast. So this way, the casual fans actually learn what's actually going on. So David offers analysis. I offer analysis on this podcast, which is something we've been doing all season. So our ability to recognize patterns within games and recognize each team's strengths and weaknesses. That's what enables us to actually come up with sound opinions. Now, if you're looking at if you're thinking Buffalo Tampa for the Super Bowl, I think that's the matchup I would actually pick if the series were to end today, because I think Buffalo. The Bills actually signed Von Miller, the superstar linebacker who played a huge role in the Rams Super Bowl victory last month. So I think that was a thing Buffalo needed that they didn't have last year. So right now,